Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. And welcome back to a Derby match previews. It is the Merseyside Derby, the first of the season coming up. Joined by Terry McAllister and Rob Astle. We're going to try and dissect it a bit. We're going to try and give our initial thoughts, who we think might play, maybe some predictions towards the end. We're very hopeful, of course, both teams coming into this in very good form. Can't really say that about many years, so it'll be an interesting one to see how it's going to go today. But I'll come to Rob first. I think we should probably start with a quick kind of international break kind of reaction. We've had a lot of players kind of all over the world over the past week or so. There seems to be a lot of international games with England, of course, playing three, which is fairly unusual. But Rob, what's your reaction to the Everton players coming out the international break?
I'm just worried that Lucas Dean's not going to be fit. That's my only
Absolutely.
real concern over it. Yeah, I think we can deal without Yerry Mina. I think if he's not fit, Godfrey will slot in maybe. But I think if Lucas Dean's not fit, then we could be in for a tough afternoon down that left-hand side, especially with Mo Salah as well, the form he's in. But yeah, I mean, made up for Calvert-Lewin as well, getting his goal for England. But I think the biggest thing is that we get everyone back fit and healthy. So fingers crossed Dean's fit.
Yeah, it seems at the moment that Yerry Mina's a bit of a doubt. Obviously, he didn't play in Colombia's second game. Lucas Dean is not too much of a major update. We know he came off injured for France, but I'm not sure there's been any kind of official announcement on that, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Personally, I was a bit disappointed to see Calvert-Lewin end up playing all three games because he didn't start the third, but I felt that was quite a few games to play in a very, very quick succession, especially with the derby coming up. But as Rob mentioned there, Terry, we might be without Yerry Mina, we might be without Lucas Dean. There's only basically two players that are going to slot in there. So what are your thoughts maybe with Nkunku and potentially a Godfrey debut going into the derby here?
I mean, very much what Rob said with if you had to lose one, I'd prefer it to be Mina because we've got a more, you see, I was about to say a more comfortable like-for-like replacement, but we don't even know that. Godfrey hasn't played for us yet, so it's not as sure a thing, but it just feels more comfortable putting in a £20 million player than putting in like a kid who's just been bought, for less than $1 million, even though we've seen Nkunku, and Nkunku has looked really impressive, but he's looked the most impressive attacking against lower league opposition. So it's just the prospect of Nkunku against, Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold down our left, Liverpool's right. Got to get on with it. Liverpool have got players injured as well. One of their most key players, Alisson, their goalkeeper's injured. So if we get if they are missing for the game, obviously by the time this goes out, we might know a little bit more about Lucas Dean, because I'm sure it'll be one of the first questions Carlo gets asked at his press conference. Hopefully he is fit, but if we have to do without him, and Mina as well, we'll just have to deal with it, because it's one of those things. It's I'm not happy that we might have to do without them, but we've been playing really well this season, and like against Brighton when we had other key players injured, other players came in and raised the game, and we're just going to need that again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Again, it seems like another centre-back injury this season. But obviously, we did bring in Godfrey on deadline day. He does have Premier League experience. Okay, it wasn't the happiest of campaigns last year for Norwich. He did make a couple of mistakes, but I think he's obviously going to be a very good player. I'd be quite comfortable with him coming in. But Nkunku is one that I'm kind of in two minds about. Of course, he doesn't really have any Premier League experience. He did play against West Ham, but that was in a cup game. Plenty of rotation from both sides. Of course, he has looked very impressive, but as Terry mentioned, a lot of that is impressive going forwards. We know what Liverpool are like going down the wings, very dangerous. Rob, what are your thoughts on potentially a Godfrey and Nkunku kind of duo on that left-hand side?
Well, one of my questions to you guys then was going to be, could there even be that? Does Carlo then switch formation, maybe go three at the back? Godfrey, and if Mina's, maybe have Seamus Coleman play right back, and I forgot the other lad's name, Michael Keane, obviously. Does he go three at the back and then maybe not risk having Nkunku play? Because like you said, that could be a real baptism of fire, especially with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mo Salah. So I don't know. Like Terry said, you just got to get on with it, haven't you? At the end of the day, we can only play what players we've got. If we haven't, we'll have to just make do, and we'll just see what happens, really. But fingers crossed that both of them are, the two main lads are fit to play, and we can go as we have done all season so far.
Yeah, we're hoping now that, of course, Alan was injured against Brighton, but he will be back now, which is good to see. Obviously, Decore, we know he's going to be in the midfield. I think we should maybe spend a moment talking about that third midfield position. Gomez did go into international duty, I think, with a knock, as he seems to get quite a few times. Terry, it is now, obviously, the 4-3-3 is the obvious system. Who are you looking to play in that third central midfield role? Of course, Gov Sigurdsson did have a good international duty. He actually played a striker for Iceland, so that's not really saying much in terms of midfielder. But are you looking to potentially play him over Andre Gomez, or are you sticking with Gomez or potentially even Davies for this game?
I think it'll either be Gomez or Sigurdsson. I can't see Davies taking the place over either of them if they're fit. It's either one of them. Like, they both offer very similar things. I think he'll probably go with Gomez because when everyone's been fit, he's picked Andre Gomez over Sigurdsson, and I could imagine he'd do the same thing. Gomez, when we're in defensive sorts of positions, when we're on the back foot, or the defensive shape takes hold, he doesn't stay up further up the pitch. He slots in alongside Alan and becomes a double pivot, and his long range passing could be really useful. The second we get the ball, he can get hold of it, and it's not that he's going to be this destroyer alongside Alan, or he's going to be a shield for the back four for under pressure, but he can release the forward players on the counter attack. I know Gylfi Sigurdsson can as well, but I think passing wise, I'd probably give the edge to Gomez. But then Sigurdsson as well has got very good set piece delivery, and that could be a key thing in the game. But I don't know. It's a tough one. Not so much of a muchness to me. But who I think it will be, I think it'll be Gomez if he's fit.
Yeah, and of course, a man I've actually just completely forgotten about, of course, Fabian Delph is back as well. Don't know if that's going to change your mind at all, Rob, but do you agree with Terry thinking it's going to be Gomez?
Yeah, probably will be. I mean, I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. Who could be playing in that sort of number 10, that advanced role? And same for me. Either or doesn't really bother me. Both of them seem to be in decent form at the moment. But I do think it'll be Gomez, just because I think he offers a little bit more on the defensive side. But whoever it is, I'd be quite happy with. I wouldn't be too disappointed with either, really.
And the final position we're all going to have to debate now, because obviously this isn't a start 11 video. I'm sure Greg will have one of them coming up. But Pickford again, international duty against Denmark, made what you could call an interesting decision to come out for the ball, which obviously led to the penalty. There wasn't a penalty, but of course we did side Robin Olsen quite late on deadline day. I personally don't know much about him at all. But Rob, who are you looking to play in goal? Are you sticking with Pickford for now? Or are you bringing in the new lad? Take it you're not playing Lowsell or Virginia, because they are still talking about the club somehow. I think
it's Pickford, but I think it's he's coming up to last chance saloon with him now. I was quite critical of him yesterday because I felt his decision to come out kind of distracted Kyle Walker. Didn't necessarily, obviously, he didn't give the penalty away, but I think he contributed to it. And I just think he's just a bit of at the ball, isn't he? I think he's got his concentration just goes sometimes. And I do think he's in the last chance saloon now. And Saturday, I think, that's the biggest stage for us so far this season against Liverpool. It's our biggest game of the season, I think, no matter what season. So I think if he makes an error, then I think that's when we've got to start looking at the new lad who came in. But I think Pickford starts, but it is real last chance saloon for him.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Terry?
Yeah, I think he will start because I don't think Olsen's been brought in to walk straight in the team. I think if we'd have got Romero, he might have come straight in. But it's time to stand up and be counted now for Pickford, isn't it? He's got the manager. This new manager has brought in a second choice keeper on deadline day, so he must know from that messaging that the manager's not happy with his performances. And frankly, if he makes another mistake in another derby, he's got a long way to come back with supporters. There'll be supporters who'll just never ever turn around on him, because if he was to suddenly turn it on and be the Pickford we had in the first season for the rest of this season, then he could easily win supporters back. He probably won't do it, but he could. There were supporters who wrote off Mason Holgate. Me, I was one. A lot of supporters never saw it with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and voted him now a crucial players in the team. Pickford's not that far gone that he can't, work his way back, however unlikely it feels at the minute. But if he makes another mistake in another derby and touch wood costs us a result, then I don't think he's that's it. He's too far gone at that point. So he needs a big game. He needs to be solid. If he concedes goals, there needs to be absolutely nothing he could have done about him.
Yeah, he does seem to be kind of... Oh, go on, Rob.
Yeah, sorry. I think the thing with Pickford as well is I think what his problem's been this season is, and what's caused the errors have been like week after week after week. He had a great game against Spurs in the opening day. He kept us in it. Late on in the first half, and then after that, it just seems to have just been this decline. But because the games have been so close together, you had the Fleetwood game, then you had the Brighton game. The West Brom game, he wasn't great in either. And I just think because they're so close together and so it's highlighted it a lot more. If these are spread out throughout the season, I think he gets away with it. But right now, the pressures, it's really, really on him, and I hope he performs as well as he did in the not the Goodison Derby last year, the one before that, when he played really well. He sort of did redeem himself after the mistake at Anfield, but like I said, last chance saloon for me at the moment.
Yeah, he does seem to be kind of playing on borrowed time for me. I can obviously see him starting in the derby, but who really knows after that? Because obviously there's been questions about Olsen even, coming into the starting 11. He didn't have a brilliant time at Roma. So we'll have to see how this one develops. But kind of away from starting 11 now. 7 wins from 7 so far this season. Confidence is sky high in general. Nothing like Merseyside Derby to bring us back down though. Terry, how confident are you in general going into this game?
I'm never confident. I haven't been confident when it wasn't such a problem. 2004. Back then, even when it wasn't such a a hoodoo over us, still wasn't confident then. I'm not confident for this one, but I think if you were not an Everton fan with the years of, some say, you could call it trauma. Let's just call it experience. If you haven't got all that behind you and you're not an Everton fan, you'd look at this game and think, you know what, Everton have got the best chance in a long time here. But that's naive. We've had better chances and still lost. There was one time, we were flying and David Moyes put a second string out and lost 3-0 to a Gerrard hat-trick just so he could play his proper team in the FA Cup, which he then went on to win that round and then got to play Liverpool in the next round and then lost again. So it never works like that with we've got a good chance, the team's playing well, Liverpool aren't playing well, I've seen all that, and it doesn't make a difference on the day. But if you are a neutral, you look at this and think, you know what, this could be the one where Everton put it behind them, and you know what, this team needs to do it. They've already, banished one demon with the winning away at the top, Sky 6 ground. They've already done that this season. Imagine the jolt, the boost it would be to win a derby, just to get that monkey off the back, and then go, right, well, we can beat Liverpool, we can win away at Sky 6 grounds, we can do anything. It's not the be all and end all of our season, but it'd be a huge, huge step in the development of these players under this manager.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, just talking about experience and trauma there, I'm pretty sure I haven't actually seen Everton win against Liverpool since I was 8, to be fair. So that's a ridiculous record that I definitely want to get rid of. Rob, how are you feeling going into this game?
I always like Teddy said, you're never confident in these games, but I'd always like to speak to other fans of other clubs. The City and United fans feel confident. The Newcastle and Sunderland fans feel confident going into derbies. I just think it's one of them games where you never want to lose it so much that your confidence goes the closer it gets to it. To be fair, because of the internationals, I've not really felt it yet. But today was the first time I was like, oh my God, they're playing Liverpool on Saturday. And, confidence, the only time I've ever been confident in beating Liverpool, probably in the last 10 years, was when was last year in the FA Cup, when I looked at that team and thought, oh my God, come on, even we've got to beat their kids. And we never. So what's the point in even being confident? Just take the game as it comes. I think the game itself for us, I think as fans and as a club and as a team, I think it's going to be a real benchmark as to where we actually are at the moment. We like Terry alluded to there, we've beaten a top 6 side in Spurs. We're unbeaten if we can come out of this with 3 points, I think that's already a 6-point lead on the champions. I'm not saying we're going to go and win the league, by the way. I'm not saying that. But like, it breeds confidence, and it you think to yourself, well, all right, then let's get to the next international break and see where we are again, and keep the confidence going. And I think if you get this result against them, I think it'd be massive, absolutely massive, and it'll get a burden off a lot of players' backs as well. It'll buy some players time as well with this club. Yeah,
definitely, because I mean, I echo what both of you are saying. Everyone, of course, I'm confident in general, but you're never confident for this game. As I mentioned, haven't seen us win against them since I was 8. It seems like we've had plenty of opportunities before, but it will be a real kind of signpost in terms of the progress we've made under Ancelotti. But of course, we've never had an absolute world-class manager, well, in my lifetime anyway, trying to play these. So I'm quietly confident, of course, but you can never really say what's going to happen. But I'm going to ask you now anyway, Terry, have you got any predictions going into this?
I'm going to be a coward and say a 2-2. I don't think it'll be the cagey 0-0 we've had the last few Goodison derbies, and even the one where there was a winning team, that was still a last-second 1-0. They're very tense. Let's be honest, the games in that Goodison have been very much, we've frustrated Liverpool because they've been a much more settled, much better team than us, and we've been in flux every time. We've got different managers and different, the starting 11s of all the last derbies must be vastly different to everyone that came before it, whereas Liverpool's probably looks quite similar. So we've just basically frustrated them and got 0-0s, whereas we've weirdly gone for a little bit more at Anfield and lost each time. This time I think it will be, and it won't be a 0-0 because both teams are in good goal scoring form, but both conceding goals this season, and with no tension from the supporters to sort of put players into their own shells and make them nervous. I think it'll just be a high scoring game, but we're quite unfortunate, I think, that Liverpool lost in the fashion they did the previous game. I would have preferred us to play them instead of playing Brighton, and we could have possibly got that off day instead. But Liverpool defensively will be a lot more on, and I think, than last game out. So they were unfortunate last game out with a lot of deflections and what have you. But the goals that they gave away for what they would do their own do, and they won't be doing things like that again. So I think I'm going to say 2-2.
Terry's going for a 2-2. Rob, what are you thinking?
Yesterday I predicted a 2-1 Everton win. And I've thought about that now, and I think it's going to be more. I think it's a game Liverpool dare not lose, to be honest with you. I think if they lose it, I think there's huge pressure on them then, because it'd be like, oh, what's happening to the champions? They robbed to the league last year and then 2 defeats in a row, and they haven't looked stable already all this season defensively anyway. I think it'll be a fast and furious opening, but I eventually think it'll settle down to a 1-1. I think that's what I'm going to go for, 1-1.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory, get an early goal, feel nervous for the rest of the game, then nick one on the counter towards the end. But thank you all very much for watching. There are predictions. Do let us know yours down in the comments below. Check out everyone's social media. Thank you for all the support on the videos. At the moment, we did an interview with Lou Sahar, which you should definitely check out. Cameron and John doing kind of having a conversation about James, Ancelotti and the transfer window in general as it kind of comes to a close, even the domestic extension. So thank you very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.